Hey all my Crimsonites, and welcome to the Crimson Cure channel, where we embrace our femininity, increase our womanly values, and celebrate our brothers. So join me on our feminine journey to learn, heal, and grow. Hey there, everybody. How are we doing? Y'all can hear me? Don't seem like it's picking it up. Y'all can hear me? We got some things to talk about. A couple of different things. See, when Kevin Samuels used to say, winter is coming, everybody sort of thought that he may have meant just one or two things, or I don't know what people thought he meant by that. But give me 1 second. But what he was alluding to was the social changes in society, because things were not going to always remain the same. Certain things were reaching a critical mass and unable to sustain itself. Okay. We're going to get into it. I want to read something because, see, more than DEI is about to be rolled back. And I'm not even really talking about particular programs or things of that nature. What I want to do is I want to read a real quick article. Okay. I'm going to make sure people can see. All right. So this is, what does Trump's federal funding freeze mean for people who get aid? This was updated just today. All right. A White House memo ordering a broad freeze on federal grants and loans by 5 p.m. Tuesday left ordinary Americans who depend on such aid, as well as seasoned budget experts, scratching their heads. The memo from the White House Office of Management and Budget suspending the federal funding was vague in its wording, causing confusion within federal assistance programs at nonprofits and among Americans receiving government aid. Adding to the whiplash, a federal judge on Tuesday temporarily blocked the freeze, and the Trump administration walked back the memo on Wednesday. In light of the injunction, OMB has rescinded the memo to end any confusion on federal policy created by the court ruling and the dishonest media coverage. The executive orders issued by the president on funding reviews remain in full force and effect and will be rigorously implemented by all agencies and departments. This action should effectively end the court case and allow the government to focus on enforcing the president's orders on controlling federal spending. Before OMB abruptly reversed course, experts questioned the policy, saying it was poorly thought out and implemented. If this was being undertaken pursuant to the executive orders on DEI, why would the administration issue such a broad, unclear, and confusing direction? I don't really understand it. I think even people who are in positions of power don't really understand it. And this was Wendy Edelberg, director of the Hamilton Project at Brookings, which is a liberal-leaning public policy research group. Now, what programs are not affected? The memo from the U.S. Office of Management and Budget indicated that Social Security and Medicare programs would be exempt from the suspension in federal funding. Additional guidance released Tuesday further specified that any program that provides direct benefits to Americans is explicitly excluded from the pause. In addition to Social Security and Medicare, already explicitly excluded in the guidance, mandatory programs like Medicaid and SNAP will continue without pause. The memo adds that funds for small businesses, farmers, Pell Grants, Head Start, rental assistance, and other similar programs are also exempt. But even if the order ends up being more narrowly tailored, it could still have serious financial implications for millions of Americans who receive federal assistance. If it's resolved quickly, the aggregate economic effects for the first quarter will be modest, but it will matter a whole lot to people on the other side who are expecting payments. It could be the difference between having a job and not, getting evicted or affording food, and the economic numbers won't fully reflect how individuals are going to feel it. Will I still get SNAP benefits? The freeze does not apply to all federal financial assistance, according to the OMB. The agency indicates that Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program benefits, better known as food stamps, are excluded, specifying that any program that provides a direct benefit to Americans is explicitly excluded from the pause and exempted from the review process. In addition, Social Security and Medicare already explicitly excluded. Okay. SNAP serves roughly 41 million low-income Americans. Yet, while the program appears to be exempt from the freeze, you are still going to be really worried in the near term whether or not the federal government is going to make good on those promises. Okay. They're saying meals for seniors could be affected. They don't know. Housing, they're saying that that's not at risk. They're not going to pause like Section 8 and things of that nature. Student loans, the federal funding freeze does not apply to student loans and Pell Grants. According to the Department of Education, the funding pause only applies to discretionary grants at the Department of Education, okay? Any kind of freeze of federal financial aid across the board is incredibly harmful to working families just trying to pay for college. But it just said that the Pell Grants and things of that nature are not going to be affected. Okay. Now, the reason that I read that is because as much as I can make sure we're going to be educated and we're going to have updated information when we talk about these subject matters, okay? I am not a fan of taking hearsay and spreading it as a truth without doing any sort of due diligence or reading or anything. So I'm not a big fan of just repeating things, and you didn't even bother to so much as Google it before you said it. So the food stamps and stuff, that's not gone. They're not cutting food stamps. They're not cutting Section 8. All right. At least with this, at this moment, those things are not going to be affected at this time. Personally, I'm not a fan of getting rid of these programs completely. I'm not a fan of getting rid of any kind and every kind of welfare program. Okay. I feel like the welfare programs need to be overhauled and they need to be regulated to prevent things like generational welfare. You know what I mean? Just so many, your mom and then the daughters and then everybody's on welfare. I don't agree with that. I think that overburdens the actual welfare system. But I'm not an advocate of completely getting rid of it because people fall on hard times. People lose jobs, they get laid off, people get hurt. Okay, people get injured, people get sick. So they may need a few months of some kind of assistance to cover the gap or to make ends meet until they can get back on their feet. I don't see nothing wrong with that. Those are literally the people that the welfare was initially created for, but those are not really the people that get to take advantage of that as they should. If you get laid off of your job and you can't find a job for 6 months, that should not mean that you can't eat for 6 months and that you can't pay your rent for 6 months. You see what I'm saying? Just so they have unemployment, but they try to really regulate your unemployment, and it's like I pay into that. That's my money that I'm saying that you should give back to me, and they try to play games with that. So I don't believe in completely just doing away with every form of government assistance. It need to be regulated though. So that's my take on that. Winter is here. We're going to get back to that. While there are many Black people, mostly Black women, on the internet going crazy over a DEI rollback that never benefited Black people to begin with. DEI was not there to help Black people secure any kind of job or any kind of income. Okay. The biggest beneficiary of things like affirmative action, things like DEI, have been white women. Okay. The thing that Black women need to take a look at is not the individual things that are being brought back. See, what's really happening is that the rug of feminism is being pulled. See, that whole construct is being destroyed. They're actively destroying that construct. The construct of feminism has served its purpose. It has done its job. The Black community, as we have known it, is gone. Black women bought into it, hook, line, and sinker. They remained, regardless of the warnings of Black men, other Black women, our scholars, such as Dr. Claude Anderson, who was talking about essentially our obsolescence come at least 35, and things of that nature. We try to tell Black women to stop it with the whole independent thing. It's a farce, okay? It's not real, and it's a construct. If this country can have feminism and the concepts of feminism interwoven into the fabric of society, into education, into all of these things, and they can pull it back as well. That's why I put it on my thumbnail, Zaddy giveth and Zaddy taketh away, because it has now done its job. In point of fact, it has done too good of a job, because first, white women was the face of feminism. They were the face of strong and independent. And then it became Black women were the face of these things, okay? Because when they first started putting single women on television, it was white women. Mary Tyler Moore, she was a career woman and things of that nature, all of those different little shows. Do you remember those shows? They started changing them from the family, white woman with the family, and she's a homemaker and her husband is working and all of those things. Then they started changing it to Black women being the face of single motherhood, being the face of the independent career woman and things of that nature. They started making Black women the face of that, okay? So they were promoting white women at first, and then it became Black women. And y'all are putting in the chat, Maude was a good one. Murphy Brown was the early 90s, late 80s, early 90s. My baby said Laverne and Shirley, right? Okay. So all of these shows were depicting white women in those positions. She's corporate, she's working, she's this, she's that, she's on her own, she's doing everything, she's happy. And then it became Black women. Okay. Black women began to be the face of single motherhood, not having a man in the house, working. She's a working woman. She's the boss, the boss chick. First, they always start with white women and then they do black women. Sex in the City, and then Girlfriends. And then, what was the other one? Living Single, right? Okay. Somebody said Ally McBeal. Okay. So all of those shows, so they switched it to make black women the face of these things. Black women ran with that. Interestingly enough, white women also ran with it. White women also they picked up that Sex in the City stuff. White women also like going to work, even though they marry at a higher rate than black women do. And I'm making a point here. White women like the freedom that they get from having independent work. Because I'm telling you, Mr. Cartwright is not a joke. He's not a joke. I understand why white women wanted feminism. Because when you look at their interaction between them and Mr. Cartwright, Mr. Cartwright is a pistol baby. He a pistol baby. He is not a joke at all. That he is not a nice dude. Mr. Cartwright is not, he not no good. He's not no good. He's not good. He's not good. You know what I'm saying? Like, these, generally speaking, these are not a good, it's not a good group of men. They're a nice group of men. They're a polite group of men, but they're not a good group of men. They're not a good group of men. Okay. And their women know this. Okay. It's white women that are on TikTok and Instagram and all of these things talking about their husbands and weaponized incompetence and, how their husbands don't share the mental load and their husbands don't share the work of the home. And this is white women. This is white women. White women are doing this. White women's homes suffered, although not at the same rate, but they suffered in the same way that black women's homes suffered. What are you talking about? White women are also online talking about how easier it is to be single, how much more peaceful it is to be single. They are also not really wanting to be married. They want to be in the work space, married or not. They delay having children. Already, they have a problem keeping up with birth rate. White women also get baby deletions. See, we talk about this, or I talk about this from the perspective of black women because I care about our families being broken. I care about our children being used in that way. Planned Parenthood being a eugenics program, things of that nature, because it affects black women, black children, black families so negatively. However, we have to now think about white women are also going to these Planned Parenthoods getting these deletions. For all of that they do in college, you don't think they're getting pregnant? They don't want the track record. The only reason that baby mamaism isn't as rampant in their community as it is in ours is because they actually will go and get more deletions. They'll go get them and won't tell nobody. They won't tell nobody. And they'll get married and no one will ever be the wiser. Okay? Why am I saying all of this stuff? One of the things that J.D. Vance said after they had won the election, and it was just recently, actually. I don't know if it was before or after the inauguration. He said they want to see more babies in the United States. J.D. Vance said that they need and they want to see more babies born in the United States. Whose babies? Whose babies? Whose babies do they want to see born? I need y'all to take this walk with me. Whose babies? Whose babies do they care about? Right? Their babies. And what's the way to get the women back into the home where they're married earlier and producing kids earlier? How do they do that? They've got to start taking away the independent opportunities. They have to start pulling back on women being able to just do what they want to do and not worry about the husbands until later, and the children may or may not come, and those things. The vehicle that allowed women to do that is called feminism. So then now you have to walk back feminism. You've got to walk back a lot of that ability to be independent. You've got to walk back, not all of it, but enough. They got to cut it back enough that their women find it more beneficial to be with them. Married earlier, children earlier. See, winter's coming for them too. And they know, but the difference between them and us is that Black women are still online talking about their men have to make $100,000 and $200,000 a year to be worthy of them. White women don't really talk quite like that. So it'll be easier. All you've got to do is kind of scare white women a little bit. All you've got to do is tell white women they don't have the safety net that they thought that they had and that they have had. So when you take back affirmative action, when you take back DEI, when you take back all of these little programs and policies and things of that nature that help the women specifically get into these different positions just because she's a woman and all of those types of things, if you take that back or you make it strict, or you make it where she doesn't feel automatically entitled to that, she's going to be like, well, maybe I don't need to do that. I can't do that. Where's my survival? She's going to start thinking about her survival. Like any woman, she's going to start thinking about her survival. And her best chance of survival is who? Her best chance of survival is who? Her man. Her man. Her man. Not just any man, her man. Her best chance of survival is her man. See, we have to start understanding what this stuff is about. All this immigration stuff. Yeah, the illegal immigration needs to go because it did overburden the system. That we know. But a lot of that work that a lot of the immigrants were doing, construction work, plumbing work, all this other kind of work. See, white men had fought for those positions a long time ago. Like during Reconstruction, they fought for that kind of stuff. The unions that white men developed was in order to procure work that could always be done, work that never went out of style. So they formed unions. And those unions boxed out Black men who had the skill for that. And the unions make contracts with the city, with the state to consistently have work. This is why always the interstates are being worked on and all of that. Okay. If the illegal immigrants take those jobs too and render the unions moot, they gotta go. See, the landscape changed. They're changing with it now. They're changing with it. They're changing with it. They're adapting. In the adaptation, see what they're doing is they are what did Dr. Frances Cress Welsing say white supremacy was really about? What did she say it was really about? Somebody put it in the chat. Genetic survival. Their genetic survival. They cannot afford to become a minority in this country. They're already the world minority. They have to maintain the control because white supremacy doesn't have really anything to do with subjugating Black people for the sake of subjugating Black people. If subjugating Black people doesn't render the best result, they won't even do that. They'll do something else. This is the something else that they're doing. See, Black people are getting upset because they think that what's happening right now is a direct attack on Black people. No, it's not. May it affect us negatively? Yes, but that's not the purpose. The purpose of what they're trying to do, is change, use the environment. Another bioculturon lesson. Listen, we have to start putting this stuff is real time happening in front of our faces. Using the environment, the land of the law, legalities, structures, all the institutions, the housing and the schools and the cities and state governments, all of those things to change the culture. They're trying to reverse it. When he says make America great again, he's talking about the survival of white people genetically. See, you got to do away with eugenics programs. It's fine if we succumb. It's not fine if they succumb. It's not okay. It's not okay. For them, in their perspective, that's not okay. All right? It's okay if Keisha goes down to Planned Parenthood. Cindy can't do it. All of the Cindys, they can't go down there. They can't. No, absolutely not. So what they have to do is they can't tell white women don't do it. They have to change the environment so that she won't do it. Because it's the environment that gives her the feeling like she can't. If you change the environment, she'll stop. The effect of Black women, we're gonna get to Black women, but after these messages, we'll be right back. Everybody, the link is pinned to the top of the chat, ashkicking.com. All right. Go to the link that is pinned to the top of the chat if you want to keep your skin looking and feeling and smelling its absolute best. Get some of this body butter. You definitely will be pleased. If this is going to be your first order, please take advantage of the 10% discount using the promo code Crimson at checkout. Once again, the link is pinned to the top of the chat, ashkicking.com. I owe you guys a bam, 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 bam. You got to hit the like button. Bam, bam. You got to Go ahead, hit the like button. Thank you to Renzo said work. War ka equals spirit, spiritual warfare. As a 9 to 5 is 9 to 5. It's demonic e-commerce, as said, egregious commerce. Once figured out, silver becomes gold. I'm not good at emoji reading. I'm sorry. It's psychological billing and coding. Thank you so much. And thank you, Ty Boxing said, too many white castles started imitating the very women feminism was meant to destroy. So now Agent Orange going, this is how it should be done. Thank you so much, Mia, for your super sticker. I appreciate you. Okay. So what does this have to do with Black women and winter is here and all of that? Because the same environment that made white women emboldened made Black women 10 times as emboldened. She's 10 times as emboldened. Black women took it to another level with not needing their men, saying that their men can't provide for them if they don't have a certain amount of money, if they don't, all of these things. Still online in the midst of this. Can't see the forest for the trees. Don't realize that the social landscape is changing so quickly that they're going to be caught unawares and literally out in the cold, unable to turn to their men. White women are going to come back to Mr. Cartwright. They're going to. They're going to. They're going to. It's not a question. Black women, though, on the other hand, are still tripping out. That job that you have and all of those things that propped you up because you're a woman and you can get this and you can get that is gone. That's gone. The days of that gone. The days of that are gone. Those days are numbered severely. Because what do you do when you have to go to school on your merit and graduate on your merit? What do you do when you can't go and get those little bootleg degrees that y'all go and get that don't make you enough money? See, Black women don't even understand that the job market landscape is changing to such a degree that I'm pretty sure that universal basic income is going to be a thing because it's going to have to be. All of those jobs that women feel so comfortable to go and get, you're going to get these little education degrees, you try to be a teacher to make $30,000. See, they're going to stop all of that, not because they're trying to destroy Black women, but because the way in which the society is, they're attempting to restructure it, is just going to render a lot of that stuff moot and irrelevant. It's just going to be irrelevant. And so once it's irrelevant, where does that leave you? You don't actually know how to run business because y'all are on here trying to call Tabitha Brown some kind of sellout because she actually understands how to run a business successfully and make millions of dollars worth of profit off of it. You don't. So that little lash business and little hair business and little things, see, those are not businesses. Those are things that you're doing for a couple of dollars. And again, I'm not knocking side hustles, but that's what it is. You have no usable skill that an AI can't replace, that a teenager can't replace, that you don't have any skills that are difficult to replace. See, trade is difficult to replace. The things that the men can take up and likely will take up, those vocations, difficult to replace them with non-humans. Okay? You're not going to get a bunch of robots to build no road or no building or no bridge. You're going to have to buckle down and get some manpower, and you're going to have to get men to know what to do. Okay? No matter how automated an automotive plant is, you're going to have men there to oversee it, if nothing more, right? The men are going to be the engineers that are putting it all together in the first place. You don't even so much as go into STEM to do any of that. So you don't have a usable skill set. The only reason that you have been able to act as if you are a boss chick is because of the fake construct of feminism and all of these policies and programs that were supposed to nerf the men and put you at the top. See, once that rug gets snatched from underneath you, you go back to your place as a woman. You know, the place you hate, the one that you said is just for pick-me's and mammies and women that don't know their worth. See, you got to come back down. The only problem is, will the men even want you at that point? That's why Kevin Samuels was saying winter is here, because when the landscape changes and you have not demonstrated an understanding of that changing landscape and made the proper adjustment prior to having to do it, prior to the environment forcing that upon you, that's where the problem is going to be. That's where the problem is going to be. Because even in the midst of it, you are still talking about men making six figures and going on vacations and trips and living a soft life, meaning, and you think that that means you don't do anything. And the lionesses have been trying to tell you that that's just not real. It's not real. Y'all are still getting on Kendra G's show with these unrealistic expectations, don't not knowing, not bothering how to figure out how to be in a relationship. You're not bothering to actually address all of your traumas and problems. Become self-aware, make sure that you've done actual healing and not TikTok healing. You know, all of that, you making sure to not have done it. It's ridiculous, and it just goes to prove just how dumb hyenas actually are. Hyenas are dumb. We told y'all that. Told y'all that hyenas were dumb. And y'all think lionesses are dumb, but we're not dumb. See, this is going to be less shock to the lionesses system because we've been building with our husbands. We're not somewhere talking about we can't respect our husbands if he make 10 cents less than us on a W2. Like we're not somewhere focused on the wrong thing, worried about the wrong thing. We're not like worried about the wrong thing. If we have to get into the trenches with our husbands, then that's just what we're going to do. But at least we have someone who we can be in the trenches with, and we can just try to make it together. We may lose some of our comforts, but at least we won't be mad that we're being put in women's places because we're already in a woman's place. We actually care about the men that we're in relationship with. Those of us lionesses who are not yet in relationships have a willingness to be in them properly. Trying to tell you. See, you didn't like when Kevin was trying to tell you. You said that he's bashing women. When the women try to tell you, oh, we're women bashing women. Uh, you're not a girl's girl. You don't like women. You talk down. I'm not talking down on the women. I've been trying to tell y'all for years now. This is why I was going so hard in the paint, trying to get the attention of lionesses who were hurt or broken or caught, and trying to let them know, you don't got to be in the boneyard. You need to come out of that. The boneyard is going to collapse, and you need to come out of that. You need to come out of that. You don't need to be, because if you're in there when the boneyard collapses, it will fall on your head, and that'll just be what it is. So you need to come out of that for your own good. Like, for your own good. Trying to tell you. Thank you, Auntie Shahrazad Ali. Been telling you for more than 30 years. You call her a queen, pick me, and all that. She's been trying to tell you. Your elders are trying to tell you. Your aunties trying to tell you. Even Iyanla, who more than 30 years ago disagreed with Shahrazad Ali, came back around and was like, nah, she was right. And then y'all told her to kiss y'all soda cracker and y'all acca-bacca. She backed up. Because Auntie Iyanla is like, what, 70? She backed up. Fine. Because you're not going to wear her to her last day, and I don't blame her. Spent 8 seasons on Iyanla Fix Your Life just for y'all to be sending that woman death threats because she was holding y'all accountable to the things that y'all was doing and the things that how y'all was living y'all life. And because she wanted to hold you accountable, you wanted to talk crazy to that woman and was sending all kind of death threats to that woman. Sending all kind of death threats to that woman. To that woman, stop. She said, baby, I'm going to enjoy my last time, whatever time I got in this world. Baby, you ain't going to worry me. I done made my money. I'm going to enjoy my grandkids and stuff like that and my family. And baby, you know, every once and again, I'll peek out and say something to you. Auntie Shahrazad the same way. She went into retirement. She lived a life. I'll come back and say something to you every once and again. But baby, you're not gonna bother me. You're not gonna bother me. I don't blame them. Y'all so hard-headed. Hard-headed. And now they rolling back all that feminism. It's not looking good. It ain't looking good. Tried to tell y'all about biology, culture, and environment. You didn't want to listen to that. Don't want to absorb that. Fighting, constantly fighting, tooth and nail. You actually managed to go deeper into foolishness after Kevin Samuels hit big, and even after that man passed away. You managed to go deeper into the foolishness to such an extent that Kendra G, who was on y'all side, she was on y'all side. She argued with Kevin on that show. You can find it. Oh, just look it up on YouTube. And she was really trying to make her point. And only to come back around and be like, yeah, y'all crazy. Y'all about crazy is what he said y'all was. See, she didn't want to believe it. She didn't want to believe it. I don't blame her for not wanting to believe. It's hard to believe. It's actually hard to believe that y'all is as hard-headed and stupid as you actually is. It's hard to believe how stupid you are. You know, stupidity to people that's not stupid. Stupidity is an odd thing. It's like, so you just don't get it or you don't want to get it. Like, it's mysterious. Because Kendra's in her 40s And even then, it's like at some part of that clicked for her. Because even if she wasn't able to see it within herself, seeing it externally, and I know every time them chicks get up there and talk crazy, she think back to Kevin. He said that about these chicken heads. These chicken heads just as silly as the day is long. And I didn't think that they was that silly, but they are. They definitely they stupid. Sometimes she just sit there and look at them. She be lost for words sometimes. She'd be like, I don't even know how to approach this level of stupidity and delusion. I don't even understand how to get around this kind of delusion. How do you even talk to somebody that's in this kind of delusion that would get somewhere in a public setting and say some of this stuff to let it come out their mouth? That's why she be looking like that. Because at some point you got to stop. Don't you? Or do you? And because Black women don't want to stop the delusion, running around here talking about, this is another thing, running around here talking about after they got butthurt that Kamala didn't win, and then got to talking about, well, Black women need to just sit down because we done took the burden, and we can't fix everything. I'm trying to figure out what this burden has been that Black women are talking about. I'm still not very sure, but okay. I'm still mystified as to what this burden is. But you should have been sat down somewhere. Been telling you to sit down and just observe. You're so busy being loud and wrong and talking and trying to talk and trying to make sure you would not shut up and just sit down and just look at what's going on. Do you see it? Open your fool eyes and shut your fool mouth and look. And you didn't want to do it. Didn't want to do it. Told you to sit down and be quiet and just look. Black men told you the landscape is changing. We're gonna have to be together if we want to survive it. It was like talking to a brick wall. We was talking to a boneyard wall. You don't tell me. I need a man on my level. Y'all don't make. Meanwhile, you don't make but about $35,000, $45,000 a year. You dang on self. Still can't see how everything is reorganizing and shifting. You don't even know why it's shifting like this or what it's shifting to. Find time for y'all to want to be in this new age spiritualism, new age witch thing that y'all are doing. find time for that. You can't even so much as run back to the church. And it's not a shot at the church. This is a shot at how Black women pressured feminism into so many church homes, ousted the men there, did not want the male leadership, did not want true guidance, biblical guidance in your own church homes. A lot of the masjids are empty as well. Nobody wants to talk about it. How many Muslims failing to do what they're supposed to be doing? And we know what to do. We really don't have no excuse. We know exactly what to do. And when I say the masjids, I'm talking about Black Americans, specifically Black American Muslims. Where are our masjids? Where are the Muslims? And what are we doing? Getting caught up in this dunya and don't even know why we getting caught up in the dunya. And it's stupid because we know exactly what's going on, or we should. And you somewhere worried about the wrong thing, y'all. Going back to Black women, boycott Target. For what? What is even the point of the boycott? Can't nobody even say what the point of the boycott even is. And too many of you got an Amazon addiction. You ain't gonna not order nothing off of Amazon. Stop playing. And these big box stores and these corporations ain't worried about no disjointed, disorganized half effort to boycott them. Do you think they worried about that? They gonna lay off more than half of you anyway. Do you think they worry about that? Let me cause those listening either get it or they don't get it. That's the reality. Either get it or they don't get it. Let me get out of here, but let me get to these super chats first. Thank you, Jeffrey, for your super stick. I appreciate you. Thank you, Terenzo again. Said crack open a moon-colored egg and the sun pops out wearing a crown versus a clown face. Keep the box pure and Jack won't pop out. Emojis are hieroglyphic metaphors. Thank you, Kise. Said what KS said was right. A global reset is coming. That's exactly what's about to happen. People better get right. Thank you, Abdiel. Said black women not useless to show black men their butts in 2020. Now that Orange Man is back, Vivica and the gang can hold this L, hold it all the way until President-elect Vance's inauguration, because you know that's coming. Thank you. It's Tekka to you. Thank you, sweetheart. I appreciate you. Thank you, Miss Bree, for your contribution. I appreciate you, Miss Bree. And thank you again, Keith said Kendra sounds more like KS now. Kendra G recently said KS had swag because he was able to get women on the show, even though women did not like him. Thank you, Kenneth, for your super stick. I appreciate you. And thank you, Anwar. So thank you for all that you do. I appreciate everyone's contribution. Before we get out of here, here we go.
Join PCTechForum.net is a new site. It's a way of discussing everything related to tech news. They'll be discussing the latest processors, graphic cards, laptops, hard drives, computer cases. They also have a section for pre-built PCs and custom-built PCs, and also a PC straight from the manufacturer. They also be discussing the operating systems and how to troubleshoot them. And said, last but not least, they'll also be discussing the latest games and business. The site is brand new, so people will join for the first time on there. So come and sign up today at PCTechForum.net.
The link to that forum is pinned to the top of the chat, PCTechForum.net. Please, let's help the brother to reach and surpass his goal of 300 subscribers. Please click the link, register. Registration is free, and join the forum. I'm going to say one or two things before I actually wrap this up. Yes, Republicans are going to be running it. I don't think people really realize that the Democrats took a dive. They had gotten the country to a point where it could no longer be sustainable regardless of what the Republicans were running on. You understand? So that's the dive. We've brought it to the peak of destruction. We can't keep going because the construct is a lie. So therefore, we've got to go back. We've got to shift the pendulum way the other way, okay, in order to even bring things back to the middle. So it was way extreme, and then now it's got to be way extreme, and then it'll go back into the middle. I don't know if we gonna like that middle, but it's gonna go back to the middle. That was the whole thing, right? Have to realize that they took that dive on purpose. Okay. And they stopped talking about that $1 billion of campaign money. Notice how they just don't talk about that. In cahoots. And we have to understand why they're in cahoots, because it goes back to everything that I said at the beginning of the show. All of them understand survivalism. And when that is at stake, they will come together. And they will agree upon things that appear to be and maybe are extreme policy to get that back under control. They will do it. All right. Jump down in the comment section. Let me know what you think. Like, share, subscribe to the channel if you have not. Once again, I'm your hostess, The Crimson Cure, and this was my perspective. Bye-bye, Crimsonites.